Welcome to SharePoint JSON list formatting training. If you're interested in learning how to build formatting templates for SharePoint views or columns, this training is for you. In this session, we're going to look at how to apply formatting to a date field to show with a background color whether that date's in the future, today, or in the past. So if you're ready, let's begin. Okay, I'm here at the SharePoint dashboard site. The link to this training is in the description, so be sure to click on that link so you can follow along with the video. In this training session, we're going to be doing the date highlighting template. If this is your first training in this course, be sure to read the sections on prerequisites and resources, which was covered in a previous video. We're going to go ahead and jump to date highlighting. That's what we're going to be working on today. So you can see what our output's going to look like and also what the HTML output's going to look like. We just need a date field in SharePoint. I've already created that on my practice list. I made a date. I just called it due. And you can see I've populated it with some values. So if you don't have that yet, be sure to pause the video and get your date field all set. And now we're ready to begin. This is going to make a div inside of a div. That's the HTML structure that will be produced. So we can zoom in and see that. It's always helpful to know what this JSON code is going to make. And as with other templates, we want to begin with the schema. This is not something that you have to memorize, but this is something that belongs in the header of your templates. So we need the column formatting schema, and that's our starting point. You can click on copy to editor, and that gives you a window where you can work on the code yourself and practice. All right, we're ready for the second step. And in the second step, we need to add another div. We need a div inside of the div. And to do that, we use the children reference. And then we need to also go ahead and show whatever the content is of the date field. And we do that using the text content property and the @current field token. And last, we need a style node. That's where we apply the CSS styles. And we're going to set a margin of auto that'll center our content for us in our div. Okay, so here's our new updated code. Take a look at that. So there you see how you do nested elements. We use this children reference and then these square brackets, and then we can start a new element. So there's our inner div. We've set text content using the @current field token and our style property of margin set to auto. If you want to read more about those references, you can do that very easily by just clicking on these blue links, and it will tell you more about that if you want to have a deeper understanding of how that works and why we're using that code. All right, now we're ready for the third step. In the next step, this is where we compare the values and do the background color. So this is the fancy part of the template, if you will. So we've got our instructions here, and we want to compare the date values. In order to do that, there's a special @now token we can use, and that will give us the current date time. And we're going to reference that in comparison to the value in the field. Inside of this comparison, we need to use a toDate string function. What that does is just pull back the date of the current date. If we don't do that, otherwise it'll give us the whole value, including a date time, and we don't need that for what we're doing. We just need to know what's the date of the value. We're going to use these if conditions to check. So we're doing comparisons between that @now token and whatever's in the field to find out what we want to know, which is whether the date's in the future, it's today, or in the past. And then we're going to do some styling with the background color. and set different colors according to those values. So let's go ahead and dig into the code and see how this works. We'll talk about it a little bit. I'll zoom back in so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, so this is code we already had before, the margin auto current field. So the thing that we're interested in is this new background color attribute, and this is using dynamic information. We're using these if statements to make comparisons and display information accordingly. So in the first part of this, we're saying if using the at now just returns back the exact date of right now. So if the date today, in other words, is equal to the date in the field, I want that background color light yellow. Basically, that shows me, oh, this date is today. And then our next comparison is if the value in the field is before right now, if this date's before today, I want a different color. We're making that pink. There's an HTML name color, lavender blush. You can use whatever colors you want, any HTML name colors. If it's not one of those two conditions, by process elimination, that means that it's in the future, and we're saying it's go ahead and make it lime in that case. So we have a nested if condition to do that, and that allows this output. All right, let me zoom back to regular. Okay, and the next step, we need more styling. The main div needs a border, and we want to kind of make it look a particular way. So we want to set the font size, the font family, and then put a border radius to give it a curved border. So we're adding style attributes. So that just gets added on to the code we had previously. So you can take a look here. We have our style node on the main div. And so after this background color with the if statements, now we've added some things. The color will set the text color. There's our font size and font family. And then border, we want a 1 pixel black border. And the border radius is going to make a curved border around the edge. You can, and you should, play around with those settings. Try different font size, try different colors, try removing the border radius. Make adjustments to the template code and see how it affects your output in SharePoint. And that way you'll better understand how to put together this code. All right, we just have one last step. What if there's no date? We don't want to just show, an empty highlighted box or something if there's no date. We don't want to show anything at all. So we need to handle that condition. That's easy to do. So that's our one final step. We can do that with a display property, and that's down here. So if I say if the current field, this is a shorthand, if you will. Basically, if this field has a value, then I'm going to use the display property of flex. If there's no value there, I don't want to show any of this stuff. So I'm going to set display none. That'll just hide the whole container, and we just have white space, and that's what we want. We don't want to see anything if there is no value. Okay, so we're ready with our code. I can go ahead and copy that to my editor, and I can click on this green copy button up at the top. And now I'm ready to go over to SharePoint. And we want to go to the column header, column settings, format this column. And then at the very bottom, there's a link that says advanced. That's what we want. We're using our own code. Select all, paste, and save. Okay, there you go. So you can see how it works. In my case, January 1's before today, January 29th today, and then all these other dates are in the future. Okay, so typically once you first deploy it, you're going to immediately see things you might like to adjust. So I'll go ahead and make some changes real quick. Let's start with the colors. Maybe that green just stands out a little bit too much. I don't like lime. I want something a little more mild. There's another name color. Honeydew, I can try that. Whenever I make these adjustments, I can just keep hitting save. There you go. There's a lighter green. Maybe I want a bigger font size. So I could say, let's make that 18 pixel font size instead, and so forth. You get the picture. You can change this however you want. You can change the colors. You can change the size. Here, let's do a little bit more. I'll make that navy. Let's give it a thicker border. Maybe we like that look for some reason a little bit better. So that's pretty cool. You can use this code editor directly in SharePoint to make those little minor adjustments after you've deployed. So that's all there is to that. Okay, that's it for this training. If you've managed to apply that template, you've figured out how to change the colors and make adjustments, you're all set. You can go ahead and use this in SharePoint. And you can also do these other training videos. This is part of a series. There's 10 different training sessions you can go through, 10 different templates, and everything you need is baked in right into the site. So just click on the link in the description if you haven't been in there yet, and you can do this practice JSON formatting. Good luck.